You guys go to CIA.gov under the reading room tab, this document right here talking about cracking the courtyard crypto that was released September 5th of 2014 was created by an artist named Jim Sanborn, and it's located on the grounds of the Central Intelligence Agency headquarters, the George Bush Center for Intelligence in Virginia. It was dedicated on November 3rd of 1990, and since it was made, there's been much speculation about the meaning of the four encrypted messages that it bears. So in this document on the CIA.gov's official website, it talks all about this statue, and it even shows the series of letters that's cut into the statue, basically creating a crossword puzzle of code to be solved. And the word cryptos is actually a Greek word for hidden. And in this document, the author is saying, because I'm not a professional crypto analyst, I first needed to educate myself in the different techniques used in the field of cryptography. And also the basic problem solving techniques that he needed for decryption were not so different from those that he used in his work as a technical analyst. Now here's where this is weird, because the first three hidden messages out of the four don't form a single coherent narrative for an overarching theme, but instead they seem designed to challenge, intrigue, and reflect themes of secrecy, discovery, and intelligence, fitting to the CIA's context. Now, for the first message, it basically says, between subtle shading and the absence of light lies the nuance of what looks like it's supposed to say illusion, but is purposefully misspelled with a Q, hinting at the deceptive nature of the sculpture, where things aren't as they seem. And it suggests that solving cryptos requires looking beyond the obvious, a metaphor for intelligence work where truth lies in the nuance between light, which is knowledge, and shadow, which is secrecy. So it primes the solver of these riddles to think abstractly and question assumptions. Where if you guys have seen any of the riddle decode videos on this channel, for example, the one 2 days ago I made saying that time travel is real and the government has been hiding it, that got 35,000 views, it requires you to think outside of the box, because the government has been planting these riddles in front of our faces this entire time. For example, this video 4 weeks ago that got 42,000 views, talking about how their plan is unfolding right in front of our eyes, but first, this happens. Hang tight towards the end of this video. This is going to absolutely blow your mind with what's happening with Swift and XRP. But first, the second decoded message is saying they used Earth's magnetic field. The information was gathered and transmitted underground to an unknown location where something is buried and someone knows the exact location. Basically creating a scavenger hunt here, and the purpose of this message was to introduce a spy-like scenario involving the Earth's magnetic field to transmit information to a hidden location, and the coordinates point to a spot near the crypto sculpture itself. And there's still parts of this that haven't been solved, because if there's something that's been hidden, they haven't found it yet. And the third message that was decoded is a historical allusion to Howard Carter's discovery of a secret tomb, symbolizing the painstaking process of uncovering hidden truths. For the CIA, this mirrors the slow, meticulous nature of intelligence gathering, removing debris and noise to reveal critical insights, also capturing the thrill of discovery, encouraging solvers to persist through difficulty, much like archaeologists or intelligence analysts, which is also a central theme of the Bearable Guy 123's cartoon riddles here, with persevere as the main word on the side of the ship. Also written on the bottle on the floor of this image right here. Also right here where he says patience and perseverance have a magical effect before which difficulties disappear and obstacles vanish. And so the most interesting thing about cracking the courtyard crypto is the word cryptography in it of itself means the art of writing or solving codes. It's an art. So this whole entire industry is based off of riddles, it's based off of art. And if the CIA is willing to put up a crypto statue in front of their headquarters, isn't that like them saying, hey guys, we're riddlers, so try and solve the puzzles that we're putting in front of your eyes? Now here's where this gets really weird, because about the crypto sculpture, if we just enter in the word cryptos with a K on the gematria calculator here, well, it comes up as the same number as, guess what? XRP and XLM. What are the odds of that, guys? It also comes up as XRP pump. And if you watched any of my previous videos, it comes up as Metacortex, which is the name of the building in the movie The Matrix that Neo, aka Thomas Anderson, worked at, which has a sideways X that's somewhat similar to the XRP logo, which also comes up as the same as Ripple XRP, XRP Ripple when you type in Metacortex. It also comes up as the Phoenix, it comes up as Simpsons. So the puzzle at the CIA headquarters of cracking the courtyard crypto with a statue specifically called crypto spelled with a K, created all the way back in 1990. Now, as you guys already know, everyone believes that Bitcoin was invented in 2008 by a guy named Satoshi Nakamoto, but the truth is actually much stranger than fiction here. They have been planning this for decades. In fact, listen to what the CIA is now saying about Bitcoin and about crypto.
people may have thought Bitcoin was anonymous, but I'd say it's pseudonymous, right? It's not truly anonymous. And there's a lot of work that we do with law enforcement, obviously, to try to track illicit crypto payments by bad actors. I mean, look, bad actors, whether they're drug cartels or terrorist groups or outlaw regimes, use cryptocurrency, but they use other tools as well, right?
They use dollars in cars.
Right. They used toner cartridges for their printers, right? It doesn't mean we say we should ban all of those, right? No, I mean, look, Bitcoin is here to stay. Cryptocurrency is here to stay. As you know, more and more institutions are adopting it, and I think that's a great trend, and one that this administration has obviously been leaning forward into. It's another area of technological competition where we need to make sure the United States is well positioned against China and other adversaries. We need to make sure that we are a leader in these fields internationally and not a laggard. And there's, as you know, tremendous potential for law enforcement and intelligence community to be able to use cryptocurrency to help track what our adversaries are doing and disrupt it.
One of the things I always am shocked by is people talk about it as a tool for the bad people,
right?
But also it could be a tool for the good people as well, right? And so whether it's Bitcoin or stable coins or anything else, CIA has a lot of payments probably that are going all over the world, as do many large organizations. And so is that how you guys kind of use as a framework for all of technology? Is like it can be a tool or it can be a weapon against us, and we want to be good at using it, but also understand how our enemies are using it against us?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned, right, we use technology as a tool, right? And Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are another tool in the toolbox. It's also a target, right? So it's something we can use we can disrupt our adversaries' use of it, and we can use these technologies to collect more intelligence, to gather more information about them. So yeah, I think in that respect, Bitcoin is actually very similar to other sort of advanced technologies, and one that we have to prioritize. And again, it goes back to there's a little bit of a generational shift, and a cultural shift going on that Director Ratcliffe and I are leading the way on at CIA right now. Not everyone in the government has these attitudes around new technologies, right? People are sort of trapped in older mindsets sometimes, and we have to break through that and realize, this isn't just this idea that cryptocurrency is for people with something to hide. That's just not right.
You sound like the in-house Bitcoiner.
So if the CIA is saying this, guys, it's time to pay attention. Here's one thing that's very interesting. On the CIA.gov, it says declassified articles from studies in intelligence right here. And what he just mentioned was how they used crypto against their adversaries in war. Well, sure enough, there's documents here saying American cryptology during the Korean War through intelligence operations that they were using for maritime counter-narcotics operations. So for people to think that Bitcoin or crypto in general was just created by some random guy named Satoshi Nakamoto, well, this goes back decades that the NSA, the CIA has been working on way before Bitcoin was ever created. And what's been happening with the SEC, Ripple lawsuit is all part of the show. All the world's a stage, and the people in politics at the highest level are really just some of the biggest actors in the world. Even Trump had his own TV show called The Apprentice, and now he's the president of the United States. Listen to this.
A man that I can't talk about because he goes undercover most of the time. His whole life is now undercover, but he's central casting when you get to see him, I tell you. He's a handsome guy. If I was casting a movie for the CIA, I'd put this guy in it. Director of the CIA, John Ratcliffe. Where's John? John? See, he's undercover. He's here, but he's undercover. He's perfect.
He's perfect for the role. Central casting. How many more times do you need to hear this is a movie? And as you guys already know, in 1996, the same year that Thomas Anderson in The Matrix's badge had on his Metacortex ID, well, that's the year the NSA employees came out with the document, How to Make a Mint, the Cryptography of Anonymous Electronic Cash, with a guy referenced on it called Tatsuaki Okamoto. So right now we are in the fourth industrial revolution, and it has been created and pushed by the National Security Agency, the CIA, and the Trojan horse of this whole operation is Bitcoin. Because the NSA created SHA-256, and the origins can actually be tracked back to intelligence services in the US, namely the National Security Agency, or the NSA for short, where engineers employed at the agency invested heavily In developing the algorithm and first pushed it back in 2001, the primary objective of creating SHA-256 was to optimize earlier hashing functions like MD5 and SHA-1, which were found to be vulnerable to several known attack vectors. But interestingly, SHA-256 was widely applied to cybersecurity, including digital signatures, password storage, and message authentication codes, also being employed in proof-of-work consensus algorithms used in blockchains like Bitcoin. And Joel Katz, who is a former NSA employee, filed a patent back in 1988, and the date of the patent when it was confirmed, 1991, around the same time that the puzzle at the CIA headquarters of cracking the Courtyard crypto statue in this document says in the late 1980s, when the CIA commissioned James Sanborn to create the sculpture, well, could it be possible that the chief technology officer over at Ripple was also commissioned by the NSA to create the XRP ledger back in 1988? Well, I don't know. That's something interesting to think about, because why would he file a patent in 1988 for distributed ledger technology if he wasn't a part of the plot? And why would he have previously worked at the National Security Agency here? So this requires you to think outside the box here, because back in the 80s, maybe they didn't even have a name for the blockchain. So just because this patent doesn't say XRP on it doesn't mean that XRP hasn't been part of their plan all along. And now Ripple is offering to buy the $5 billion stablecoin USDC from Circle, even though the offer was rejected. Ripple has been making power moves like this for years, acquiring companies, making partnerships with companies. In fact, this was posted by Watcher Guru and Bitrue saying Swift is working on an agreement to use XRP for cross-border payments with billions of XRP secured in escrow as liquidity reserves. And shortly after that was posted, it was taken down by both of those accounts. But here's where this is interesting, because in 2017, David Schwartz posted this saying, "My dream scenario is Swift makes a deal with Ripple where all their banks get to use RippleNet, maybe even paying Swift, and it fits our XRP strategy perfectly." Now, if the chief technology officer who filed a patent back in the late 80s says that this is his dream scenario, well, if he was potentially commissioned by the NSA to work on the XRP ledger, then it's not just a dream scenario, it's a planned scenario.